I walked away from financial freedom. I had 15 single family rentals all running for years. I had more than my financial freedom number. I had about $10,000 a month of passive income coming in, and I said, screw it, this is not for me anymore. And I put all of that money, sold all of those assets, and I put them into something new. So I want to talk to you about this and the squeeze that I am seeing and that pretty much the industry is seeing across multifamily, single family, the rental units. It is getting squeezed and it's not what it used to be. This ideal dream of I'm going to hit financial freedom through real estate is not the same. The market has shifted. We're getting squeezed on the rental game and you got to pivot into something else. So I want to share what I pivoted to and what you can learn from this. So many of us all got the big idea after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? We're like, man, we got to get assets. We got to get passive income. We got to get into this rental game and start acquiring real estate. And I got hooked on that just the same like so many people, right? This idea of going from, I'm going to get started, I'm going to do house hacking, I'm going to get my first deal into, I'm going to buy maybe a fourplex, live in one, rent the others out, right? Get great financing terms for those. And then I'm going to move into, getting up to 10 units. And you know what? I can do this plan in 5 or 10 years and I can have $10,000 a month of passive income and then I can retire, right? I can sit on the beach. I can do whatever I want. I can live the life that I wanted, right? That was the American dream that we were sold via financial freedom through real estate. And that dream has been squeezed. It's broken. It is not there anymore. That method is a method of the past. That was before COVID. Do you know why? Because things had shifted. So many things have changed in the last 4 years. What things used to be is cheap interest rates. It used to be 2 to 3 or 3 to 4% interest rates. It used to be tax rates that were based on what tax property values used to be 5 years ago, which were like half or more than half of what they are now. We have insurance that has doubled and then doubled again. And in a lot of states, in California, due to wildfires, in Texas, in Florida, man, like you cannot get insurance for some of your assets there. Like they are literally pulling insurance out of those states, and just like your SOL, you got to rely on the government to get housing insurance for these kind of things. And then cost of living and inflation has affected everything. And I would say specifically construction, on maintenance, on fixing up your rental properties. What used to be, $2,000 to turn a unit is now it's like I can't even get a bedroom painted for $2,000. It used to cost me $3,500 to replace an HVAC. Now it's $13,000 to replace the same HVAC. I used to change roofs for less than 10 grand, and now it's like 30 grand to change a roof. Can you imagine that your whole cash flow for probably 2 or 3 years is gone from a rental if you have to change the roof or if you have to change the HVAC? Everything has shifted and everything is getting the squeeze because ultimately all the different expenses that we have in the real estate game are going up, and not going up small. They're going up like double every couple years. They're just doubling. And what is happening to the rental amount, the market there? It is not keeping up with that. So what we used to see of we have fixed expenses, right? It's roughly about the same to run our units. And so we can keep using the same formula and method to go and buy at, 70 or 80% ARV. Now that doesn't work anymore. Now we have year after year climbing and climbing expenses with income or rents that are slightly increasing, but they're not keeping up with the expenses. So now it's a recipe for disaster. This isn't just on single family rentals, right? This is the apartment, the multifamily space, because you were doing deals 3-5 years ago at a great interest rate, right? On a, floating rate or a 5-year term. Now you have to refinance, or now your arm on that loan is now ticking up to 7, 8, 9% interest rates on these things. What it used to be, 3, 4, 5%. All of a sudden you had this great cash flow that is not there anymore. All of a sudden you had all of this equity based on an NOI that is not there anymore. It's literally wiped away people's wealth in the apartment game, right? And so what are you seeing? You're seeing people that sell apartment courses saying now is the time. You got all these people who did deals 5 years ago. Those deals are blowing up. Let's go in. Let's make offers on these things. The game didn't just shift for single family. It shifted for all residential real estate. And you know what? The pattern is there. It is not what it used to be pre-COVID, where you could go and buy something and know that it is going to continue to go up in value, that your NOI is going to continue to increase. Why? Because your expenses are just out of control and no one knows what's happening with these things. They just keep going. Tax rates keep getting crazy on these things. Insurance, that's not going to keep stabilizing and going down. Insurance is going to keep going up. There's a huge problem there. How do we solve this kind of problem? I think you shift. I think you move to where the puck is going, not where it is right now. So I can tell you firsthand from my experience, for me, I had all these properties, they had great cash flow on paper, and then you know what? The next year, it just wasn't what it was supposed to be. And the next year, it wasn't again. And then, I'm seeing it month by month as I'm tracking these things with my property manager, and I'm seeing the squeeze, right? I'm like, man, you know what? This property over here, this isn't going great anymore. I should sell that one, right? And you know what they really was? For me, there was two things that really stood out on the squeeze. For me, it was the repair costs. It used to be reasonable to repair something, and now I'd have some expense. I'd have some tenant that jacked up my property, or it was vacant and it got broken into by squatters. And holy crap, I'm spending $30,000 because squatters came in, pulled the copper wiring, right? And now I have to do a whole new panel, and I have to go through 6 or 9 months of permitting with the city to be able to do that crap. And then I got to run all new wiring. It was one tweaker who cut some wiring and stole it, right? It cost $30,000. I'm like, this is not realistic. That is literally several years worth of cash flow from this one project. Again, my rentals were all in California, specifically in Bakersfield, and there is a homeless and drug problem in that area, right? So it's like, oh my gosh, couple that with what happened after COVID, after the laws had changed and became so much more tenant focused, where you couldn't get people out. And a lot of those laws have carried over to today. And really, honestly, the culture has carried over to today, because I now have rentals in Texas, and God bless Texas. But nonetheless, this whole idea of the tenant's rights, and they can sue you for whatever you want, and it's just like not worth the trouble to go through these things. We're talking about like, hey, I'm going to cash flow $300, $500, $700 a month, and the risk that now if they get pissed and they jacked something up, it costs $10,000+ just to turn something that used to cost $2,000 to turn it. All of a sudden, I'm seeing the squeeze, and I'm like, this just isn't worth it for me anymore, right? I was at the place. I had the $10,000 a month plus coming in, and Laura and I looked at each other like, you know what? Should we chill? Should we retire, right? Like, should we homeschool our kids and go, just travel and do the RV thing, right? Like, that was on the table for us. And it was like, no, we're actually going to pivot away. We're actually going to take all of that, which was recurring, and it was still pretty substantial income coming in every single month, and say, you know what? We are moving to where the future's going. And we see the writing on the wall. I'm seeing year after year and incident after incident, the squeeze happening on the rental industry, and saying that's not where things are anymore. Post-COVID, things have shifted. And where have they shifted to? You know where they shifted to? The stinking baby boomers. There is so many people getting old right now. It is crazy. And you know what? They all have similar problems. And one of those problems specifically, I said, you know what? I can solve that. And you know what I see? I see that problem being solved horribly in the market. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about end-of-life care. I'm talking about assisted living. I'm talking about memory care. It is horrible. Have you been to assisted livings lately? They are nothing to be excited about. You walk in and you're like, oh, this is horrible. Get me out of here. It smells, or it may not literally smell. It may like figuratively smell, and you just like feel the oppression. It's like, oh my gosh, how is there 10,000 people a day turning 65? How are we continuing to live longer and longer, but not healthier and healthier, right? We're continuing to just die longer. And there's so many people that need this. Not only is there such a huge wave of people that need this kind of care, I don't know if you've looked into this, but the amount of beds that we have are substantially short. Some reports are showing that we are nearly 500,000 beds short currently today across the country. Now, if you take the amount of beds that we do have, about half of those are built before the year 2000. That's 25 years old or older. They are outdated. They are Class C. They are Class D. There's a bunch of crap out there. Physical building crap, and then big corporate REITs running them. The service part of this, just as bad, if not worse, right? It is a huge problem in this industry. And I'm like, man, I over here, now I have rentals. I have, a pretty good amount of equity in these things. And I'm thinking to myself, there's a huge writing on the wall. There's all these problems over here. There's all of this built up demand and no one's doing it great. I can do that, right? Why can't I get into end of life? Why can't I get into memory care? I already know how to build things. I already know how to raise money. I already know how to do marketing. I don't know crap about, assisted living, the regulations, the medications or any of that kind of stuff. All right, well, I can hire somebody there. I can figure that out. Like, I'm a real estate guy. I can transition out of real estate and do this because it's actually still real estate, right? There is a real estate play to this. There's just also an operations and a business play. I've seen the writing on the wall, right? For the next 20 or 30 years, this is where the opportunity is. We're not gonna get touched by AI, right? You still need humans to wipe people's butt. It's a thing. I don't think robots are coming in and wiping, grandma's private areas. I don't think that's realistically gonna happen. Can you see all the white collar jobs going away? Yeah, I can see that. Can you see a lot of the blue collar jobs going away? Yes. What is there? End of life care. That is what we need. You're not gonna have a 90-year-old lady with dementia getting served by a robot. She's gonna flip the heck out. That's just not gonna happen. So this is where the puck is going, right? Go with the baby boomers. Solve this kind of problem. And this is a massive financial reward. It's a massive personal reward. For me, going and fixing up houses and making, one house prettier in the neighborhood, it didn't really float my boat. It's like, oh, I'm doing such great things and, serving my community. This is day in, day out in the weeds. Like, you are making a difference. You are helping people. There is a huge purpose there. And can I tell you something else? The first grandma that I moved in was my own grandma. Like, actually making a difference in your own family. So epic. So I love this niche. And I want to say that for me, transitioning from being in the single family, small multifamily game and switching over here is not quitting. It's not giving up. It's pivoting. Really, it's going where the market is leading, being smart on these things, staying in an industry, in a niche that is currently not working with the market economics. That's foolish. Don't stay doing something. It doesn't matter what your niche is, right? What is your investing niche? If it's transitions, if it's not working anymore, and I probably guarantee you it is not working nearly as good as what is opening up with end of life care. That niche right there is aggressively strong. So be smart about it, right? Go ahead and shift. I used to think that I would continue buying rentals, single families, my entire life. And then I would get up to, hundreds and hundreds of rental properties. That was naive. I should know that as the market shifts, I'm gonna shift. And I think I know that now. You know what? For the next 20 or 30 years, this is the opportunity. This is what you should be doing. And you should be growing and shifting and pivoting as the market shifts, your passive investments. But the same goes true for your active, right? What are you doing in your job, in your work? You know that we go and we build these across the country and we partner with teams. I have a lot of doctors that are partners. They're medical doctors. They went to school for a decade. They spent years and years in the hospital, right? And there's a real thing about doctor burnout. You work crazy hours and you think you're there to help people and all these things and you're just stuck in the politics. Man, you know how many doctors come to me and say, Brett, I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna take my active job doing all this kind of medical stuff and I'm gonna transition. I'm gonna roll those skills over into building my own mansion, running my own mansion, running a company where I'm not in the day-to-day of these things. That is not giving up on your dream. That's actually like graduating. That's really maturing and going to, okay, I have now conquered that hill. I'm ready for the next thing, right? What's the next challenge? How do I continue to grow and build on my skills? And it doesn't matter if you are looking for a new active way of life, financially speaking, or a new passive, right? This deal has great active income because we run a business, and it has great passive income because there is a real estate play, and we build new construction and we literally build millions of dollars in equity on day one. Open the doors, there's a lot of money there, right? And then you run it for years and you sell both the real estate and the operations company, and you have a huge, huge return while making crazy cash flow and making a difference in your community. So I just want to encourage you, if you are in a rut, if you are in something that used to work and does not work now, it is okay to shift. It is actually the smart thing to do to change plays. Like, go where the puck is going, and right now it is serving the baby boomers. If you don't know much about this, get out there and learn it, right? Hit our website, assistedlivingmansion.com. I'll tell you all about those, lots of videos there. It's entirely free, or just book a call with our team. It's 15 minutes. See if this is right for you. See what the market is like in your area. All right, I'll talk to you guys on the next one.